Ning roamed the city for a few hours and saw the many stores. He even bought a few souvenirs he could give to Anya and her kids once he went back to meet her sometime soon. He tried some of the local delicacies and was absolutely floored by how it tasted. The restaurants in this city made foods that were beyond perfection. Not only that, it seemed the ingredients they used were quite luxurious as well, as if they were made up of some rich spirit plants and animals. Ning went to the tailor and got himself a new set of robes that he could wear around the city now. He felt his robes and was surprised at how smooth the clothes were as well. Damn, I wonder what this fabric is made up of. It doesn't look like the normal fabric we are used to getting in the other schools, he thought. He went to the foot of the mountain and saw a massive line of huge tower-like buildings that went as high as 10 floors. The lowest floors were the largest, while the upper floors got smaller and smaller. There were around 20 or more buildings here, but only 5 of them were truly towering. Others didn't even come in half of the 5 towers. Oh, these are the profession halls, huh? Ning said as he saw them. The 5 professions: alchemy, beast mastery, artifact creation, formation mastery, and finally talisman making. There were the 5 professions that sold the most and were thus remained the best in the city. The other towers were professions that were taught in the academy but didn't hold as much prestige as the 5 main professions. He saw hundreds of thousands of people going in and out of the nearly 24 towers. Ning shook his head and instead moved towards what was behind the towers. There was a path opened up between the Beast Tamer Hall and the Artifact Hall that led to the back of the tower. Ning walked through that path and reached a massive gate that had thousands of people grouping up to look at some of the information posted on the wall. Ning walked to the wall too, pushing aside people left and right. Finally, he saw the information written on a notice. The notice was an exam notice that mentioned when the tests were going to take place. Ning quickly read it and realized that the exams were all held on different days for different professions. The one that mattered to him for now, alchemy, was set exactly 29 days later. The gate didn't seem like it was going to be open for now and they could only wait outside, so he had nothing to do here now. Guess I have time to waste, he thought and walked back from the gate. He went back to the city and found a tavern that he could rent for 30 days of stay cost him about 5 spirit stones. At first, he nearly thought he was getting robbed when he heard the price, but they matched with how much things cost throughout the city. It really is a very expensive city, he thought and went to his room. He had 29 days of peace and had every intention to make the 5 spirit stones worth their price. He sat down in a lotus position in the bed and started thinking. There were many books on alchemy in his mind that were just staying there. He had learned a book or two here and there and he could make about 3rd grades worth of pills. If he had tried just a little more, he was sure he could have reached the 4th or maybe even the 5th grade. He took the information that was in his mind and started piecing them together. He had a month of time and didn't want to use the system to immediately learn it all. Besides, the interface was annoying to use for him. He would rather spend his time like this than use the interface of the system. There was much knowledge that he learned about in the 30 days that he was stuck. He learned about ingredients, the recipes, and the combination. He learned how the higher grade pills could be made and how hard it was for him to do it. A month quickly passed by and he opened his eyes in the tavern room. Today is the day. I can't mess it up, he thought. He had the tavern room under his name for one more day, so he didn't visit the tavern's boss to let him know he was going somewhere. It was 6 a.m. in morning, and Ning was surprised how awake all the people already were. Not only that, they seemed to be going towards the academy too. So many alchemists in one place, Ning thought with absolute shock. This was just not possible to see in the other continent anywhere except for special alchemist gatherings. He walked past the 2 great towers and walked to the gate. This time, the gate was fully open, so he went past the guard and walked up the mountain. He looked around to see if he could find Ender, but he couldn't see him anywhere. I might find him in the exam room, he thought. Where am I supposed to go? Ning wondered a little and looked towards other people for help. Hey, how was your practice? One of the 2 men walking up the stairs spoke. It was pretty great. I think I can do it this time, the other man said. My name would be in tatters if I don't pass this time around too, the first man said. Are they going to the alchemy exam as well? It sounds like they've taken the entrance exam before, Ning thought as he listened to their conversation and realized that they were indeed going to take the exam. In about 10 minutes, Ning reached the top and looked at the massive academy in front of him. No, I can look at it later. I need to go register first, Ning thought and quickly followed the 2 men to the examination place. The Five Professionals Academy was in the shape of a pentagon and was about 5 stories high. Each of the 5 sides of the pentagon building belonged to one of the 5 main professions and other professions that aligned to it. Ning was currently in his own mind as he followed the 2 people towards the alchemy wings of the academy. I wonder what it will be like. Will it be similar to the volunteer exam? Or maybe the beast taming exam from the Mist Origin sect, he wondered. The 2 men soon reached a girl who was registering the people for the entrance exam. Am I late? Or am I too early? Ning wondered as he looked at the utter lack of individuals registering for the exam. Or did people get registered beforehand and are now inside the classes already? The 2 people quickly registered and walked into the class behind the girl. Ning walked up and asked to be registered. Fill this. The girl handed him a talisman. Ning quickly filled in a talisman with information as close to the truth as it was. He was then stuck on a part. What should I put on this alchemist grade part if I've never been officially tested? He asked. You don't have a grade yet? The girl asked in shock. Then why are you taking this exam? You know that passing this exam is really hard if you don't have quite a high amount of knowledge, right? She asked. Oh, I know the things. I've just not been officially tested, Ning said with a smile. The girl squinted her eyes but quickly moved on. Just say ungraded in that segment then, she said, and Ning did so. After that, he handed the talisman back to the girl. The girl quickly checked if there were any possible errors. Looks good. All right. Hand over 100 spirit stones, she said. What? Ning asked in surprise. Why would you need 100 spirit stones? It's a price for the exam. Don't worry, if you pass, the 100 stones will be handed back to you. The girl gave him a weird look. Damn it, they should have mentioned it in the notice, he thought. Thankfully, he was now a nascent soul cultivator and had come across quite a few places where spirit stones were priced almost as cheap as gold coins. He took out 100 spirit stones from his storage, thinking he would definitely give them back. Once he was properly registered, he took the entrance card he was handed and walked in. As soon as he walked in, he saw a large number of people that filled the room to nearly a brim. That's not a lot of people, he thought. Considering the hundreds of thousands that came to the city in the last month, the nearly 1,000 people he was seeing was very low. It's low even when compared to just the amount of people walking up the stairs, he thought. He walked to an empty seat while trying to find Ender along the way. Unfortunately, he wasn't here. Oh, there must be more than one room then. No wonder there are so few people here, he finally realized. He looked around, a little surprised at how many old people were actually in the room. Did they focus on alchemy so much that they stopped cultivating for a little while? Ning found it quite funny that people could be so invested in an art form that they would risk losing near eternal youth to do so. He looked around a little more and was surprised that most of these people were in the nascent soul realm. Is it okay to show my cultivation base without worry? Will I not get treated as a commodity in this academy? He wondered. He really did want to stop the concealment skill he had learned during the last century that helped block a portion of his cultivation base. After a little more thinking, he decided to wait before he did so. He would be lying about his strength even if he really showed his true cultivation base, so he decided to keep concealing for now. Still, it's amazing just how many nascent soul realm cultivators there are in this academy. Makes me wonder why they can't advance any further, Ning thought. He was still thinking of ways to help Hai-Si and Anya, and the thing that he had settled on was to help them leave the planet. That was the only way he could possibly do it. Since the planet didn't have a lot of chi, there was no way he could let them stay here. However, he himself couldn't teleport out of the planet without 1/10 of the planet's energy in his body, and that was just absurd. He would need to think of other ways for sure. He had thought of simply flying out of the planet, but the closest habitable planet was still about half a light year away according to the system. Even a light second cost him about 4.5 billion energy to teleport once he flew out of the planet, so that wasn't possible either. Besides, taking 2 people, and possibly their family with him was just not possible. Sigh, let's not think about that for now. I will help them when I can, Ning thought as he shook his head. After a minute or two, a very old man with white hair and a mustache walked into the room. He wore a dark red robe with a golden star that had a carving of a leaf on his chest. He also had a few bronze stars just below the large golden one, and each of them had a different imprint on them. He must be one of the starred individuals just like Ender's sister, Ning thought. A bit of murmur appeared from the people around him as they started whispering about the old man a little. Is he famous by any chance? Ning wondered. He had spent the last month holed up inside his room, so he wouldn't know that. Ahem. The old man coughed to catch everyone's attention. Good morning, everyone. I am Jazir Praxton, a professor in the academy, and I will be your examiner for today. As soon as Jazir introduced himself, the crowd went into a flurry of hushed noises and whispers. Ning was surprised for a second as to why they were so excited about a single person, but soon thought that it must have been because Jazir was a well-known alchemist. I did spend a month in the tavern room, holed up inside. It's understandable that I wouldn't know who that is. Should I have tried to find out? Ning thought. But it took away from the mystery aspect of his adventure, so he didn't think that was necessary. The crowd seemed to be still very excited to Ning, which made him wonder. Do these people want to take his class when they pass? Is he that good of a teacher? Maybe I should go to their class too when I become a student here, he thought. Silence. Jazir ordered and the whole room went quiet. He waited for everyone to get orderly and suddenly threw a stack of paper in the air. The papers all fell onto the desk of every examinee one by one. One of the papers also fell on top of Ning's desk. Just as he was about to check it, a massive divine sense passed through them with one order in it. Don't look. Ning stopped himself from bringing out his own divine sense and just waited there for Jazir to continue. On that paper are 3 questions. As long as you accurately answer only 2 of them, you will pass, Jazir said. What? Only 3? Ning was surprised. How come an exam has only 3 questions? The other examinees seemed to have the same thought as they spoke in hushed voices amongst themselves. While some were surprised, the ones that had taken the exam before weren't surprised at all. Jazir looked at them with disapproving looks, seeing them all talk so much. And, he continued, don't forget to write your registration number on the top of the paper. Do not use divine sense to cheat, and finally, you only have 10 minutes to answer all 3 of the question. The examinees. Jazir took out an hourglass and placed it on the ground. Your time starts now, he said, and immediately flipped the hourglass. Rustles of paper moving rang out from the entire room. Ning turned his own as well and saw 3 empty talismans stuck behind each of the 3 questions. He quickly marked the paper with his registration number and looked at the first question. If someone comes up to you asking for your help in distinguishing the dark moon grass from black silver grass without using their odor, what would you do? Oh, dark moon grass and black silver grass, huh? Those 2 are pretty much the same grass from a visual standpoint, since they both are dark silver in color. It's hard to differentiate them without their odor, he thought. He went through his mind that spent the last month learning everything about alchemy that he could. He then thought of the first answer that came to his mind. You can dip a dark moon grass in a porcupine fruit's juice and then tear it horizontally. It will tear up straight until the halfway seam and then tear towards the stem from there on. On the other hand, the black silver grass would instead tear until the halfway seam and then tear towards the tip, he thought, and got ready to answer it. Just then, however, he stopped. Wait for a second, the question asked me to help someone else differentiate it. Meaning, it is very likely they wouldn't have a porcupine fruit on them, Ning thought. He thought of another answer. If we burn a dark moon grass under the moonlight, the smoke coming off of it would fly in the direction the moonlight is striking towards. On the other hand, black silver grass would just move in the direction of the wind. Wait, no, it needs moonlight. That's not the answer either, Ning thought. He thought of another answer. If we freeze the blades of the 2 blades of grass almost instantaneously, the black silver grass would attain a flexible property, while the dark moon grass would simply snap in half. Wait, that requires flash freezing on the other person's part. If they don't have any ice skills, especially one that doesn't flash freezes it, then it's useless, he thought. He moved on to another answer, and then another, since his mind was filled with many answers. Sorting through the ones that only required the 2 blades of grass and nothing else was quite hard. He had nearly spent 5 minutes just thinking about these answers, and by now he had about 7 different ones, but none applied to the question. Then, on the 8th answer, he finally found something. If one pours their chi into the black silver grass until it's full and drops it in a not-so-windy place, the weight added onto the blade due to the chi would always make it fall on its underside. While the dark moon grass would just act like a normal blade of grass and randomly fall on either side, he thought. Finally, an answer that applied to everyone. In a world of cultivation, who didn't have chi? So, he decided to go with this answer and wrote it on the talisman. He wrote, I would ask the person to fill the blade of grass with their chi, and explained everything. After he was done with it, however, he felt bad about having all the different answers but not using them. So, he decided to put them in as well. Alternatively, he wrote, if you have a porcupine fruit. If you have an ice skill that can flash freeze the blades. If you are in an open place with moonlight, if you have 2 blocks of silver that have stolen the moonlight's essence. If you have a olfactory hallucination pill. He wrote all the answers he could think of and finally put down the talisman. He then looked at the hourglass and frowned. There were only 3 minutes left at most. Ning worriedly looked at the next question. With barely 3 minutes remaining, he needed to answer the next question as fast as he could. Thankfully, the next 2 questions were very easy. The second question asked to list the various pills and their effects that could be created from the ingredients listed in the question. As soon as Ning saw the ingredients, his mind worked extra fast to think of as many combinations as he could think of. However, due to time constraints, he could only list out about 13 pills and their effects. He needed to immediately move on to the next question and answer it too. The third question asked for a list of pills that could regrow a fully detached limb. The examinees were to answer as many pills as they could. Ning didn't have a lot of time, so he hurriedly wrote as many names as he could on the talisman. Stop! Jazir shouted as his divine sense started forcing everyone to stop what they were doing. Ning reluctantly put down the talisman after naming around 43 pill names. If he had the time, he could go above 200 pills, but unfortunately, he didn't. The paper floated up and went towards Jazir as they stacked on the desk in front of him. Come back tomorrow around noon to hear your result, he said and left. Ning stood up and left the room along with everyone else. I hope I did well. Thank God we only require 2 questions to pass. Otherwise, I would have failed. You too? I had the exact same experience. Ning could hear the people talking. I guess learning everything already made me a great alchemist. Still, I have yet to make pills and such, he thought. He walked down the mountain stairs and didn't see anyone other than the ones he was with. Did only our group leave? He wondered. He went back to his room in the tavern and decided to skip a day. Late afternoon, in a room inside the alchemy wing. Jazir was looking through the questions, testing them. He was currently looking through the papers to decide who to grade and who not to. He made 2 piles of paper as he separated them accordingly. He was mindlessly doing so when another teacher that was checking the papers of his own on the side stood up to stretch. God, the kids are getting smarter and smarter these days, the teacher said and walked up to Jazir. He looked at the question sheet and laughed as he read it. Only 2 out of 3 required. You still use this trick, huh? He asked. Of course, Jazir said. Why wouldn't I use something that works so well? The man then read the first question and got a little confused. How are they supposed to answer a question that doesn't have an answer? He asked. They should be writing either, I don't know or I haven't learned this yet. Accepting that you do not know about something and can still learn is the first step for these people, Jazir said as he put aside the sheets that had the first question left blank or answered with, you can't. Oh, and what about someone who just makes stuff up? What do you do with them? The teacher asked as he handed Jazir an answer sheet. Huh? Jazir grabbed the talisman and read it. What the hell is wrong with this person? He thought as he read through the different answers for the first question that was written there. Not only that, check the other 2 answers too, the teacher said. Jazir quickly checked the other 2 talismans and started reading the answers. Suddenly, his eyes went wide. This. Ning opened his eyes around 11 a.m. in morning. That was the timer he had set through the interface for himself to wake up at. He quickly left the tavern and went up the mountain. Although the results would be published at 12 p.m., it wasn't a bad idea to get there a little earlier than normal. Ning reached the top of the stairs and was stopped by a massive crowd of people who were there to check their own results. So many, he thought. Oh, brother Ning, Ender spoke from the side when he saw Ning. Hey, it's been a while, Ning said. He then looked around and asked, your sister is not here, right? Haha, no, don't worry about her. Sorry about last time though, I've never seen her be so protective, Ender said. Well, she is your elder sister, so I guess it makes sense, he said. By the way, I didn't see you yesterday. Did you miss the entrance exam? Ender asked. Oh, I was in a different room from yours, Ning said. Different room? Ender made a confused look. I don't thin. Hey look, it's here, someone shouted. Suddenly, a massive image flew up in the sky as a list of names with some numbers next to them appeared out of the blue. People saw the list and read the first thing written on it. Past, I hope my name is there, Ender prayed as he looked through the list. Ning did the same. It didn't take long for Ning to realize something weird about the numbers on the right that represented the registration number. 5 digits. Mine is only 3 though, he thought. Maybe mine has 2 zeros in the front. He looked through the list, but no matter how many times he checked, he couldn't find his name at all. I passed. Ender cried out loud. Congratulations, Ning said. Unfortunately, my name isn't there. Huh? Ender stopped celebrating. Are you sure, brother Ning? What's your number? I can help you look for it. It's A3 Dig. May I have your attention please? Zahir flew up above the masses and addressed them. I will be releasing the results of the exam now. Ruger Pilat, Bagu Arati, and Ning Ruagong. Congratulations on passing the exam, Zahir said. Ning's heart finally got calmed down after learning that. But why announce just our 3 names? Did we do exceptionally well? He wondered. Zahir continued. Welcome to the 5 Professions Academy to you 3. You are now officially a teacher. Huh? Ning was completely blindsided by the results just now. Teacher? Huh? His face couldn't help must make a confused expression. Please come up, you 3, Jazir asked. 2 other people that Ning remembered from the exam room walked up front with big smiles on their faces. Ning, however, didn't move at all. Brother Teacher Ning, you should go up soon, Ender said, changing the way he addressed Ning immediately. Ning didn't know what to do. He slowly walked forward and spoke to Jazir. Senior Jazir. Are you sure there is no mistake? I should be a student, not a teacher, he said. What's your name? He asked. Ning Ruagong, Ning quickly replied. Jazir's eyes flashed in a curious manner and asked, May I see your registration card? Sure. Ning quickly took out the card and handed it to him. Jazir checked the card and said, It is the teacher's entrance exam that you registered for. Why do you say you should be a student? Ning couldn't answer. Teacher's exam? Did I sign up for that? I thought it was the student's exam. No wonder the people were so little and everyone was old, Ning thought. Come on up, Teacher Ning, Jazir said with a smile. Ning sighed and reluctantly went up. He had decided to become a student for the hell of it, and now that he was a teacher, he would do that too. There was no reason for him to dwell on what happened any longer, and not take up the mantle of being a teacher. Everyone, give a round of applause for your potential new teachers, Jazir said to the crowd and they all started clapping. Ning felt it a little surreal but accepted it. Come, Jazir said and walked away. The 3 of them quickly followed behind him towards the alchemy wing. Soon, they were all inside a library-like room with massive amounts of books. This is the staff room. This is where you will be spending most of your free time from now on, Jazir explained. Ning looked at the desks all around him with books on them and a few people off to the corner reading them. They gave a quick glance towards the 3 newcomers and quickly went back to reading their book. Do you guys know how the academy classes function? Jazir asked. The 2 that came together with Ning nodded, but Ning himself shook his head. I'm new to the academy and I'm pretty much a newbie here, he said. I see, let me explain. You will all get your own classes to teach in the alchemy wing, but you will have no students. You will have to get students on your own as well. The academy bases your earnings on the number of students you have at the end of the month. Depending on the average attendance, you can earn almost nothing, or earn a lot, Jazir said. Earnings depend on the student. Ning was a little confused why this sort of system was even in place. Besides, I don't even need that many spirit stones, he thought. Jazir was looking directly at him and seemed to understand what someone new would think about the current situation. There are more benefits than just the earnings, Jazir said. If you manage to get 50 students on average across 30 days, you will get a Bronze Star badge. Using Bronze Star badge, you will have access to everything, including the alchemy furnaces at the bottom of the alchemy wind. If you manage to have 200 students by the end of the month on average, you will get a Silver Star badge. With that badge, you have access to the whole academy. Meaning, you can go through any wing of the academy and get what you want in the other staff rooms as well, Jazir said. Also, a Silver Star badge gives you the authority to fly through the city as well. Ning thought for a second. There are hundreds of thousands of disciples in this academy, so it shouldn't be that hard to get new disciples, right? Finally, if you somehow manage to have over 500 students on average by the end of the month, you will get the Golden Star badges, which not only gets you access to the previous 2 things but also gives you the authority to use Divine Sense in the city. Ning heard all of that and felt it was acceptable, but just then, he thought of something else. Wait, how do we get new students at the start of the whole thing? Do we wait for the students to come to our room at random? He asked. He remembered the days when he was a volunteer in the pure cleansing sect and had to leave it all to fate. Even when he had tried to do something, they had the management sent to him. He didn't want something like that to happen to him as well. Oh, my bad. Sorry, Jazir apologized. I keep forgetting that I am explaining it all because you are new. It's really unusual to see someone join our sect and not know about it. Ning just gave an awkward smile in response. So, there are 5 lecture halls in the entire alchemy wing. Every 2 weeks, you will be assigned to one of the 5 halls to give your lecture. Students will naturally come to the lecture, at least most of them, to either find new knowledge or find new teachers. You can captivate the hearts of these students during your 2 lectures a month and lure them into your classes, Jazir said. The other 2 nodded, remembering the times they had sat through the lectures. They were a student of this academy previously and thus knew everything properly. All right, that is all from me about introducing the academy, Jazir said. You two, go and find Mr. Icon to get your teaching and residential information. As for Teacher Ning, I have some questions for you. Would you please come with me? Ning followed behind Jazir until they both got to a place that was much quieter without that any teachers or students. Ning looked around at the emptiness and asked, why are there so few people right now? I assumed there would be thousands of students here. Ah, it's an entrance season, so the students have a week-long holiday until we get the new students acclimated to the academy, Jazir said. He then brought out 3 talismans and handed them over to Ning. How did you know these things? He asked. Aren't these the talismans with my answers? He asked and looked through them. What did you mean by how I knew these things? I learned them. Is that so? Jazir said while making a scrutinizing face. Then how come I, a 9th grade alchemist, not know half of what you've written? In fact, I didn't even know there were answers to the first question. It was supposed to be something that the examinees answered with, I don't know, he said. Huh? You don't know? But these are some pretty simple knowledge tea? Ning stopped as he finally realized something. So the intermediate alchemy information I got from the system is better than a 9th grade alchemist's knowledge? He thought. Simple knowledge. Of course, it's not a piece of simple knowledge. If not for your other 2 answers, I was ready to say your answer was that of a rambling buffoon. However, once I saw how good your other answers were, better than the best I had imagined if I may add, I finally decided to test your first answer just a little bit. And I must say, every single one of the techniques worked. I didn't know that such a thing even existed. Haha, I was very pleasantly surprised and gave you the pass just then and there, he said. Please tell me where you learned these techniques from? Jazir asked. Oh, I found it in a cave, Ning answered without hesitation. I was once going through a jungle a few dozen years ago, and came across an underground cave on accident in the middle of it. When I searched through the place, I found a few books regarding almost everything out there, but all of them were destroyed by the passage of time. The alchemy books barely remained and I managed to read them for a while before they too got so bad that they were destroyed as well. Until today, I thought those knowledge were very simple, but now that I listen to you, I must have struck fortune at that time. Ning sounded very surprised and honest as he lied through his teeth. Jazir felt like he was being lied to, but couldn't think of any other explanation for Ning to have learned so much at such a young age. Mind I ask what forest it was in? Jazir asked. Ning's face got sad as he said, it was the shedding forest of the east. My father and I used to go there to look for different insects and plants all the time. After my father passed away due to chi deviation over a century ago, I went there one last time to cherish our memories. That was when I found those things. His eyes were nearly filled with tears. Ah, my apologies, Jazir quickly apologized. He no longer doubted Ning's answer after seeing his emotions. It's fine. Let us change topics, he said. He then saw Jazir's other 2 bronze badges in addition to his golden star badge and asked, what are those for? Those have different carvings from the golden ones. Oh, this? The one with the mortar and pestle is my physician's badge, and the one with the apple is my beast feeder's badge. I have some understanding in both of those subjects and can give a good enough lecture on those 2 subjects to garner that amount of students, Jazir said. Oh, does that mean you didn't have many students during those 2 classes? Ning asked. No, quite the opposite actually, Jazir said with a smile. Since the number of teachers that actually teach these things are low, students flock to my classes when I teach these 2 subjects once in a while. I even had over 2,000 students in one of those classes, Jazir said. Unfortunately, he continued, since the academy bases the badges off of average student over the month, I ended up not meeting the mark of the 200 students for the silver badge. I see, Ning said. Does that mean that I can teach other subjects too? You need at least a silver star badge in your main teaching materials before you can move to other lessons, Jazir said. So, you need a silver badge in alchemy, which is the exam you took, before you can move on to whatever else you like. Ning deliberated on that information for a few seconds. I see, that's not too bad either. Let's go back. You must be getting bored here. Jazir took him back to the staff room to get his storage bag full of the different things he would need in this academy, and showed more of the area around the academy to Ning. Ning was shocked at how truly big the academy was. The exam hall he had been to was already big, but that seemed to just be a spare room that belonged to no one. The actual classes were massive enough to be larger than most lecture halls he had seen himself. The actual lecture halls were also very, very large. This place can hold at least 10,000 people and there are 5 of these? Ning's shock didn't lower even as he went through the different places in the academy. And the other 4 wings have the same thing too? He asked. Of course, Jazir replied. We don't discriminate between any of the 5 professions, so the academy is built to perfectly encapsulate that. Anyway, have fun around here. The classes will begin in 3 days, and after that, this place will be your home for the foreseeable future. Good luck. Ning walked out of his room sometime in the morning. Although they didn't have windows to tell the time, there were clock artifacts that were given to each teacher. First day, huh? He thought to himself nervously. Although he had been a teacher before, it was to teach illiterate villagers how to read, write and farm. He didn't know how that experience translated to teaching actual students that had knowledge and questions. Especially now that the system's AI was gone, he was worried he wouldn't find answers as quickly to difficult questions the students might end up asking. Whatever, I will do something about it when I get there, he thought and walked along the corridor. He was currently inside the mountain itself. The people from the 5 Professions Academy had carved the inside of the mountain to make a large residential space for teachers as well as places with other facilities in the academy. The massive spirit vine underneath the surface of the mountain, as well as the different formations and artifacts inside the mountain, made it completely habitable. Ning came out of one of the 5 different massive doorways to the underground with a leaf carving on top of it. He walked over to the staff room and greeted those that he met. Ah, Teacher Ning, you're here too, Ryuger Pilot, one of the 2 people that passed along with him, said. You were quite early too, Teacher Ryuger, Ning said. The last 3 days that he was free, he had spent it socializing with the different teachers. Ryuger walked up to the board and placed his palm on it. Suddenly, a few words appeared on it that mentioned his name, his room number, his subject, and his topic for the day. Ryuger was going to teach normal alchemy from what Ning could read. Ning walked up and placed his hands as well. As soon as he placed his hands, small information appeared in his mind that asked for his subject and topic. Ning wrote, alchemy, for the subject. And as for the topic, he wrote, anything the students would want to read, he wrote. He believed that letting the students have the freedom of choice would make them want to come into his room. Alright, I'm going to my class, Teacher Ning. Since today is the first day, I don't think I will get any. You shouldn't be dejected if you don't either, Ryuger said. Haha, don't worry Teacher Ryuger. I have no expectations of getting any new students until my lecture in 5 days, Ning said. With that, the 2 of them separated and went to their own classes. Students would start coming in less than 15 minutes, and once they saw the schedule for the day, they would choose themselves what they wanted to learn. Alex waited and finally, the classes started. He had no hope of any students coming to him, so he decided to simply give up for the day and just try to cultivate. He closed his eyes and the chi started coming towards him. They soon formed a vortex as they entered him. Hello? A timid voice sounded from quite close to him. Ning was fully focused on cultivation, so he didn't see the young girl peek through the door. Come in, Ning said and quickly stopped cultivation. He had a look of surprise for a second but quickly got rid of it from his face. Was I wrong in thinking that there wouldn't be students on the first day? Maybe there are students that come to the new teachers to boost their confidence. Although, this one doesn't seem like it, Ning thought. The young girl had a petite body with slightly reddish hair. She came to the front of the room and was seated on the desk at the massive table. She wore a red robe, just like him right now, belonging to the alchemy wing. Ning looked at the young girl who looked really nervous as she shot her eyes towards him from time to time while also looking at the door from time to time. Is she waiting for someone? Ning wondered. She finally gathered enough courage to speak. You should come down from up there, she told to Ning, who was sitting up on the podium. I should get down? Ning asked in confusion. Yes, quick. Teacher Bowl might come at any second now, the girl said. Why would Teacher Bowl be coming here? Ning asked with confusions compounding on him. Because this is his class, the girl answered as if it was obvious. Ning didn't know whether to laugh or feel bad. What's your name? Ning asked. It's Reya, the girl said. Okay, here's the thing, Reya. This is not Teacher Bowl's class. This is my class. I am a new teacher in the academy. You can call me Teacher Ning, Ning said as he showed her a teacher badge that he had in his storage. The girl's face changed emotions from confusion to worry to anger to dejection. Oh no, I messed up, the girl said to herself with both of her hands on her head. Did you come to the wrong room by mistake? You can still go back, no? Ning asked. Not now. The classes have already begun and Teacher Bowl is strict. He doesn't let in anyone that is late. The girl was on the verge of crying. Ugh, those girls pranked me on such an important day, she said dejectedly. Did you not come here by mistake? Ning asked. No, I was running late today, so I asked them about the schedule today. They said this was the room belonging to Teacher Bowl from today on, she said. There were so many questions I wanted to ask him today. Now I don't know if he will host a question and answer class anytime soon, the girl said with a sad face. Ning listened to her with a bit of amusement and said, while I may not be Teacher Bowl, I am a teacher of this academy too. And luckily for you, at least your friends were kind enough on your prank to send you to me, who is doing a question-answer class today. Oh. If you are taking questions too, then I have a few that I want to ask, Reya said timidly. Sure, go ahead and ask. You seem to be the only one to come to my class anyway, Ning said with a smile. Okay, she said and brought out a few questions she had written down. Yes this, Reya said and quickly brought out a small tied-up cloth. She quickly opened it up and showed a bunch of powder in it. I was trying to make the segmented minds pill, but it came out all powdered, instead of forming a pill. Can you help me understand why? She asked. Oh, come here and let me see the powder, Ning said. Reya walked up to Ning and showed the powder to him. Ning looked at it for a few minutes and said, I see, where did you get the recipe? He asked. I bought it at the Alchemy Guild in the city a few weeks ago, she said. I see, Ning said. Does the recipe mention what temperature your fire has to be towards the end after you've put in all the ingredients? It does. It says the temperature has to go very low very quickly, Reya said. What about your cauldron? Does its temperature go very low very quickly once you've done lowering the temperature too? Ning asked. Reya thought for a second. Oh, I see. I just need to make sure cauldron's temperature follows accordingly, she said. Ning smiled as he saw her realize the answer without having to spell it all out. Okay, next question. I have this pill recipe, but I don't have this one plant. It's very rare to find this plant out in the wild, and the only time it is found, it's impossible to buy it since it's so expensive, Reya said. Can you help me come up with an alternative, and thus a modified recipe too? She asked. Oh, that's asking for a lot, Ning said, but let me try anyway. He took the recipe and looked at the ingredient. Eroded roots of the sniveling weed, that's one rare ingredient for sure. Eroded, let's see, an ingredient with the same level of yin and wood energy should be the bark of the nightwind tree. Yes, you should be able to swap it with the bark. Use about half as much bark as you would the roots and you can easily make the pill. The only other change you will need is to put the next ingredient at half the interval as the one said in the recipe, and it should work perfectly, Ning said. The bark, it certainly is much easier to find, Reya said as she got more thoughtful. Okay, another question. Reya kept on asking one question after another, and Ning answered all of them without a single hint of frustration in his eyes. Surprisingly, all of her questions were quite advanced. If he had to put a grade on them, he would have guessed that they were around grade 6 worth of questions. He wasn't really sure about that, however, since he himself didn't know much about the grades and only based it off of that he knew something a grade 9 alchemist didn't. Ning's class was supposed to run only for 3 hours, after which, he would be done for the day, and his class would be taken by another teacher that had his schedule for the day. So, when the class ended, he had to say goodbye to Reya. Come again if you have any more questions. Also, bring your friends too if you can. I can help them understand a bit more too, Ning said. Oh okay. Thank you, Teacher Ning, Reya said and left. With nothing else to do, Ning went to the staff room to spend his time. He socialized with other teachers to pass the time there. Did you get any students, Teacher Ning? A teacher asked. Oh, Teacher Bowl, haha, you're here, Ning said to the old man. Oh, what about me? He asked. I had a student come into my class because her friends lied to her and said that my class was yours, Ning said. Ah, was it Reya? Bowl asked. Oh, you know her? Ning asked. Surprisingly, Teacher Bowl remembered the name of a student when they would blend in with all the hundreds, if not thousands of students he saw every day. Yes, of course. She is one of the best and brightest student we have in the alchemy wing. Her knowledge and passion regarding alchemy is not one to scoff at, Bowl said. Unfortunately, such cannot be said for her social skills. She can't choose who her friends are and who her enemies are. Just because some of the other students act nice to her, she thinks they are her friends when all they want to do is see her fail. Bowl sighed. Oh, so the girls send her to me was not a prank, but deliberate choice to make her fail, huh? Ning asked. Must be. Well, I hope you helped her at least. I don't want to see such a good child fail, Bowl said. Haha, don't worry Teacher Bowl. She was my only student for the day, so I spent all my 3 hours answering all of her questions, Ning said. Ah, that makes me feel much better. Now that I think about it, I think I will send her to you for a few days so that you can teach her freely. This will help her stay away from the others' influence, Bowl said. That sounds like a good idea, Ning said with a smile. Anyway, I need to go down to the city to do some work in the guild. See you later Teacher Ning, Bowl said and left. Ning didn't have anything he wanted to do or could do, so he spent the rest of the time inside the staff room, reading through the various books trying to see if there is anything that could help him learn some more. Unfortunately, he knew it all. So, he walked back to underground to his room to cultivate and wait for another day. Ning set his class schedule and went back to the class the next day to wait for new students to come. However, that day went on without any students. Ning just shook his head and spent the next 3 hours cultivating. Once the time was over, he went back to the staff room to pass some time. Oh hey Teacher Ning. Ryuger came up to Ning and sat next to him. How are your classes going on? He asked. I had no students today, so that's about as good as my classes are going, Ning said. What about you? Huh, mine's not better either. Barely got a student today, but he too asked to leave after an hour. That lil sh*t, I will get him someday, Ryuger said making Ning chortle. I guess it all depends on the lecture in 3 days then, Ning said. Ryuger nodded his head when he heard that. Another day passed, and Ning was back in his class, waiting. Fortunately, there wasn't nobody in his class today. Good morning, Teacher Ning, Reya's voice sounded from the doorway. Oh, good morning Reya. You chose to come here today? Ning asked. Ah, yes. Teacher Bowl told me to come here and learn. I tried to call my friends too, but they didn't want to come at all, Reya said. That's okay. Come on in, we can learn now, Ning said. That entire day, he taught Reya about the concept behind forming pills. Up until now, she had been making pills while following the recipe, but Ning decided to remedy that so that she could see on her own and improve the pills. Reya left once the classes ended. For the next 2 days as well, Reya came to Ning's classes to learn and was improving very quickly thanks to him teaching her with only her improvement in mind. Oh yeah, don't bother coming here tomorrow. I have a lecture and won't be here, Ning told her. You have a lecture, teacher? Is this your first lecture? Reya asked. Yes, Ning answered. Oh, good luck then. Choose an easy but interesting topic, or the students won't come to your lecture, Reya said. Interesting topic? What would you consider as interesting? He asked curiously. Reya hesitated. I'm quite interested in almost all aspects of alchemy, so I might be a bad person to ask that question. You will have to figure it out yourself. Just make sure to have it be interesting to the general mass. You need a lure to get the students. Sometimes, it's the teacher's reputation, sometimes it's the topic itself. As long as one of them is interesting enough to get the students' interest, you will have a successful lecture, Reya said. Oh, thank you for that knowledge. I shall choose a very interesting topic indeed, Ning said. Reya left and Ning went back to the staff room to look for ideas. He searched through the many books in the hope of getting a hint at what his lecture should be about. I don't really like this. Can't I just teach something simple? He wondered. He opened a book and saw a recipe in that book. It was a simple recipe for a pill that even a beginner could make using some everyday ingredients. Ning quickly closed that book and moved on to another one. He looked through the content of that book as well and came across another pill. He curiously checked that book, especially a part of the recipe. "Hey, Teacher Ning," somebody called him from the side. "Ah, Senior Jazir, how was your class today?" Ning asked. "Same old. Too many students to teach properly, you know," Jazir said. "How was yours?" I still just have one student. It looks like students don't really care about teachers with no reputation," Ning said. "Yeah, the students are stubborn like that," Jazir said with a sigh. "However, your lecture should be coming up soon, so that should help you a bit," Jazir said. "Yes, it's tomorrow, and I'm looking for some topic ideas right now," Ning said. "Oh, yes. Those are important," Jazir said. "Have you thought of anything?" "Actually, I have," Ning said as he flipped through the book he was reading just now and pointed at something. "You're going to lecture about that? Is there even enough material to fill the 3-hour gap?" Jazir asked. "I think so. There definitely is enough content, I just need to know if it's interesting," Ning said. "All right. Assume I'm a student and give me the lecture on it," Jazir said. Sure," Ning said and started explaining what he knew about the topic. At first, Jazir had a simple smile while he listened to it. However, it soon turned into confusion as time went along, followed by dread and terror. Ning didn't realize what was happening as he focused all of his attention on remembering the topic from his mind. Ning stopped cultivating and left the room. He walked out of the underground space and walked into the staff room before getting into the queue to write his information about the schedule. "Oh, Teacher Ning. You excited for the lecture today?" Someone came and stood behind Ning. Ning turned around to see who it was. "Ah, Teacher Bagu. Of course, I am excited. You must be excited as well," Ning said with a smile. "Haha, of course, I'm excited. My topic today is quite interesting as well. I think I will get a lot of students," Bagu said. "Oh, good luck. Teacher Bagu. I hope my topic does well as well," Ning said and walked up to the now empty board. He quickly checked his schedule first. Thankfully, it wasn't during the daytime for now. I guess new teachers are given the perfect time to teach, he thought. He quickly filled in the information for his schedule and turned to the teacher Bagu to say his goodbyes. After he left, Bagu was left there looking at the board. When his eyes fell on Ning's topic, it was only met with a face of confusion and an audible exclamation. "Huh? Bang bang? Wake up, idiot!" Someone started banging on Nilo's room. "Stop! Stop! I'm already awake," Nilo shouted from inside with obvious annoyance. Nilo was a young man with a handsome face, but messy hair that brought down his attractiveness a bit. He got out of the bed and stretched. He then went to wash his face before looking at the robes in his storage. Red or black? He wondered for a few seconds. He thought about what he needed to do today and picked red. He quickly changed his clothes and walked out. Outside the door were 2 other young men waiting for him. "What the FCK? Why are you wearing red? I thought we were going to go tame some beasts today," one of the young men said. "Yeah, Nilo. You went to the alchemy wing yesterday too," the other man said. "I'm sorry guys, I didn't get an answer yesterday, so today I'm going to try once again," Nilo said. "You serious? Damn. Okay, I can't stop you now I guess," the man said. "Alright, let's go or we will be late." The group of 3 walked out of the massive student's house and climbed up the stairs to the top of the mountain. The students lived on the west side of the mountain, opposite the city. This was a special place the academy owned and built houses here for its students. After reaching the top of the stairs, the other 2 black-robed students went to the Beast Mastery wing, while Nilo walked towards the alchemy wing. "What's on the schedule today?" He wondered and checked it on the massive board in the hallway. "Oh, the old geezer is teaching. Should I go to him?" He wondered. "Nah, his class has way too many students to learn anything I want to learn." "What about Tyra? Is that woman teaching anything? Doesn't seem so." "Oh yeah, who's on lecture today?" Nilo thought and looked through. "Boring, boring, oh a new name, but still boring, boring, bore, huh?" Nilo walked forward to see the schedule closely. "What?" he shouted out loud. "I know right," someone else beside him said. "That's so stupid that I want to go check it out." "Me too." "Haha, let us all go there." People started walking towards the lecture hall, leaving behind Nilo and a few others. Nilo just looked at the lecture topic and was still very surprised and confused by it. So much so that he couldn't help but question out loud. Who in their right mind teaches alchemy students about cabbages? Ning looked at his lecture hall that could easily fit around 25,000 students quickly start to fill up. It was unlikely that he would get 25,000 students, but he would be happy with just 5,000 of them. He had a wide smile on his face as he looked at the students come in and give him a weird look. He was secretly patting himself on the back for coming up with such a stupid, yet brilliant idea. He watched as students quickly filled about 1,000 seats. He waited, and as hoped, more and more came in. However, after 2,500, they started slowing down. In the end, only 3,000 of them were in there. Sigh. I guess luring with cabbage wasn't the best idea. Still, if I can keep these people, I should be able to do quite well in the monthly count. I only really need half of them to join one class and I will be set for the bronze star badge, Ning thought. He waited for a little longer and the time to start the lecture finally arrived. Please quiet down, Ning said. The students' chatter came to a grinding halt as the lecture hall had a pin-drop silence. My name is Ning Ruigong. I'm a new teacher in the 5 Professions Academy and this is my first lecture. So, for my first lecture, I decided to go with something that everyone would know about, a cabbage, Ning said. How many of you don't know what a cabbage is? Ning asked, but did not get a single response. Exactly. However, how many of you truly, and I mean truly know about cabbages? Ning asked. Once again, the students remained silent. They didn't know what the teacher was talking about at all. Ning smiled and picked a random student. You, young man with short hair and gold earrings, what benefits do cabbages have? Ning asked. The student stood up, under the prying eyes of his other 3,000 fellow students, and started nervously answering. They are nutritional, he said. Yes, keep going, Ning encouraged. The guy looked around him and then back towards Ning before saying, they are good for keeping you thin. They fill your stomach without making you fat. More? Ning asked. I'm an alchemy student, teacher, I don't know about vegetables, the student said. Ning shook his head and asked, anyone know anything more? A few students answered him. It helps reduce your fever, a girl said. Good. More? Ning asked. It helps maintain a person's blood pressure, another girl said. Yes, keep going, Ning said. It helps with digestion? A young man questioned. It does, however. All the answers you guys are giving me are something a chef would tell me, not an alchemist. Tell me, from an alchemy perspective, what does a cabbage do? He asked. The students looked around at themselves wondering what to say. They hadn't even heard of using cabbage in alchemy before this. Teacher, is cabbage even an alchemy ingredient? A girl asked. Ning smiled and said, of course it is. Did you know that you could submerge a cabbage in a firefox's urine, and then use it to make a pill that cures blindness? Did you know that cabbage is one of the most important ingredients in making a pill that directly removes the kidney stone of a person without hurting them at all? Did you know that using cabbage, you can make a pill that instantly removes any form of insomnia? Ning asked. The crowd looked around, dumbfounded. Well, you are in a bit of luck then. In today's lecture, I will tell you about 40 different ways cabbage can be used to make pills that truly do wonderful things. Ning spent the next 3 hours of the lecture explaining about cabbages. He told them what you could make with them and why they worked the way they did in those pills. The alchemy students who hadn't even heard of cabbages being used in alchemy were beyond shocked to listen to Ning tell them so many uses of it. And when you mix a little bit of cabbage with sun pears, you can get the juice known as the poor man's elixir that you can later use during alchemy. You can use it to make a pill called the grasping free pill which can be used to elongate your limbs to your desired length, Ning said. That is the 40th pill you can make with the cabbages. Any questions? The students were pretty surprised once all of the lectures was out and it was time to leave. A lot of students raised their hands. Ning chose one on random. Teacher, you explained everything gracefully, and I feel like I at least understand the gist of it, the student said. However, how can we be sure that you are telling the truth at all? After all, I have never seen a pill made with cabbages before, or have heard of other teachers talking about it. How about this? Ning said. I gave you 40 pills. You can choose 3 of the pills and I will give you the recipe. Why don't you try and see if it works or not? The student thought for a bit and nodded. That's fair. Can I choose? He said. Sure, Ning said. The student chose 3 pills based on their effects and Ning gave him, and the rest, the recipe. Once that was done, he looked to the class and spoke. I hope you all learned from today's lecture, he said. Yes, teacher. Cabbages truly are great, we never knew about it. One of the students that was truly happy to have chosen today's lecture spoke out loud. No, Ning said. That was not the point of today's lecture. It's not about the cabbages. It's not? The student asked. The other students looked in confusion. How could the point of a lecture about cabbages not be about said cabbages? No, the point of today's lecture was to make you realize that there are many everyday alchemy ingredients that you ignore just because you see it every day, Ning said. Cabbage is not the only thing. Tomatoes, potatoes, long beans, apples, oranges, berries. There are so many everyday foods that you simply ignore, even when it has hundreds of uses in alchemy. It's not just you guys. The other high-grade alchemists ignore it too, and it's just ignorant. There are a million things in the world that can help you make pills and you guys only focus on one that's rare. Try to switch it up. Use an everyday item and see how it can produce a similar type of pill. It might not have the same amount of energy, but when mixed together with other ingredients, it will certainly step up to at least be an average pill. Making an average pill with everyday items, you would call that a massive success, wouldn't you? Ning smiled. What you learned today was just the beginning of what I can teach you. If you want to learn more, come to my class tomorrow under the name of Ning. I hope to see most of you then. Goodbye. With that, the lecture ended, and Ning walked out of the door, leaving behind nearly 3,000 students who didn't know what to do or think. That was a weird lecture, a student said. It all sounded so real. You guys think it's real? Another student asked. We can try, right? He did give us 3 of the recipes after all. If what he's saying is true, and this is only the beginning, then I will go to his classes. I'm going to the guild to try and make some. Me too. Nilo stayed on his bench for a little longer as he tried to process everything he learned today. Pills with cabbages, if he knows that, then maybe he knows that too. Nilo's eyes shined as he felt like he finally found a teacher that could help him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Erg. Giving lectures is so hard. I'm exhausted, and I couldn't even show it to the students, Ning said out loud. Haha, you'll get used to it. How many students did you get? Ryuger asked. 3,000 or so, Ning said. T3,000? Did the cabbage trick work? Ryuger asked. Trick? You mean topic? Ning asked. Didn't you write cabbage to just catch their attention? Ryuger asked. No, I taught them about cabbages as an alchemy ingredient, Ning said. Ning then had to quickly explain Ryuger how it was all true and how cabbage as well as other household ingredient was perfectly usable. Teacher Ning. You have a student here to see you, someone shouted from near the door. Huh? I'll be right back, Ning said, walked over to the door and saw a young man standing at the doorway. Can I help you? Ning said. Yes, I think you are the only one who can, the young man said. Ning got a little confused and didn't bother hiding it. Seeing the confused face, the student spoke again. My name is Nilo, Teacher Ning. I was in your class earlier. I heard you talk about how easy it was to make pills and was hoping you could help me in making a pill, Nilo said. Ning didn't know what to say. Damn, I only know the theory, kid. I've never actually made pills before. I don't know how they will come out. Still, he couldn't say that as a teacher. What sort of help do you want? Ning asked. Teacher, I have a very rare condition that makes me sleep. If I don't sleep overnight, my body gets really lethargic the next day, Nilo said. That's weird. So, you want me to make a cure for you? Ning asked. No, I want you to help guide me towards the cure that I will make myself. So, let me get this straight. You want to do the work on your own, but still need my help too. I want your help in directions and stuff. I want you to tell me what I'm doing wrong, when I'm doing and no other time, Nilo said. That's not a very hard thing for me to do. You just want my validation on whether you are on your right path or not, Ning said. Why not ask the other teachers? I'm sure they would help you too in this. Why did you wait until a new teacher came to ask for this? I've tried all the teachers except the 2 grade 9 teachers. They all hear about my illness and don't even know what it is, let alone the cure, so they can't help at all, Nilo said. Your illness? What exactly is it again? Explain to me, Ning said. Nilo agreed and explained exactly what was wrong with him. Ning took the doctor's approach and asked as many questions as he could. So, constant need for sleep, kills any chi you use to awaken your mind, can't cultivate it all during night. I see. I know what your problem is, Ning said. Why you do? Nilo's face got wide as he looked at Ning. Finally, a teacher who didn't tell him that he had no idea. Yes, I do. It's called the I am. Stop, stop, I don't want to know, Nilo said. Oh, not even the name? Ning was surprised. Yes, I want to find it all on my own, from beginning to end. I just want you to keep me from going in the wrong direction, is that okay, teacher? Nilo asked. Sure. I'm okay with that. There are like 30 different pills that can cure you, so it should be easy, Ning said. T30. Wow, so many. The other teachers don't even know a single one. Teacher, what grade of alchemist are you? Nilo asked. I don't have a grade. I just came to this academy on a whim, Ning said. Huh? Nilo said. He started to get a little suspicious about whether to believe Ning or not. What's the highest grade pill that you have made yet? Pills, I haven't made a pill in ages actually. I think the one I made randomly at that time was a 3rd grade pill, Ning said. Nilo hesitated a little. Teacher, are you sure you know what you are talking about? Do you really know my disease? He asked. Ning looked at Nilo and said, Of course I do. Why would you? Oh, I see. I guess I should go check my grade at the guild today. I wonder where I am at. I am going to the guild right now. Do you want to come with me? Nilo asked. All right, Ning said. Teacher Ryuger, I will be going to the alchemy guild for a little while, take care. All right, have fun, Teacher Ning, Ryuger replied. Nilo took Ning down the stairs to the air with the guilds just at foot of the mountain. There were hundreds upon hundreds of people here. Since there were so many guilds, it would just be natural for this place to be crowded. Nilo quickly took Ning to the alchemy guild and entered. So, what do we do here? Ning asked. Well, there are a few things you can do, Nilo said. You can rent rooms to make pills, you can take your grade test, you can sit down in a lecture done by a high-grade alchemist, you can take up tasks, etc. Oh, that's quite a few things you can do, Ning said. Yeah, it's all written there. Nilo pointed towards the board hanging at the side of the guild hall. Ning looked at it for a few moments and remembered it all. All right, I should first make some pills to make sure that I know everything, Ning said. I should go register, right? Yes, teacher. I will register for the library too, Nilo said. Okay. Ning said and got in queue to get himself a room. He and Nilo had to wait for a while due to the sheer number of people, but after a few minutes, Ning finally got his chance. Hello, can I have a furnace room? Ning asked. Sure, do you have a guild ID? The registrar asked. No, do I need one? Ning asked. No, but you will have to pay the full price on everything, the registrar said. How do I join the guild? Ning asked. You have to pay 200 spirit stones to take a test. If you pass it, we will accept you into the guild, the registrar said. 200? Wow, that's expensive, Ning said. I'll think about it later then, for now I will just take the room. Haha, sure. The registrar simply took out a badge and handed it to Ning. Here, this is your room. Please pay 10 spirit stones per hour you wish to spend in the furnace room. Damn, why is everything in Central Continent so expensive? Do they have more spirit stone caves or what? Ning wondered. He quickly looked through the map in his head and realized that he was right. Damn, so many, he thought. No wonder. He took out 50 spirit stones and handed it over to the registrar. 5 hours, please. Sure, the registrar marked it. By the way, what would it have cost the guild members? Ning asked. Well, there are 6 different grades that the guild members would have had. The first 5 guild members would have gotten from 20% to 80% discount, with 15% increase in discount between each grade for everything in the guild. And the highest grade would get it all for free, the registrar said. I see. I should look into becoming a member later then. Thank you, Ning said and walked away after taking the badge. He went to the room he was given and entered. He would finally make some pills for the first time in centuries. Ning locked the door behind him and walked in. Inside the room was an open fire pit with fire spewing out from inside of it. Ning sat next to it and stopped. I need a cauldron now, he thought and opened the interface. He went to the objects section and voiced in alchemy cauldron in the text field. Once the words showed up, he hit enter. Immediately, a long list of cauldrons showed up for him to choose from. He looked at the filters specific to the cauldrons and started setting his requirements. It has to be wide. It has to be large. Good at transferring heat, yes. Fast at losing heat when not in the flame too. Sturdy and durable. It needs to survive explosions from the random mistakes I might make too. What else? Ning tried to think of all the good ones he could and set the filters. Finally, once he felt like the filters were perfect, he hit enter. A long list of cauldrons showed up, and Ning sorted by price. He clicked on the cheapest one and looked at its information. Everything matches my description perfectly, he thought. Alright, buy. A notification appeared telling him that he had just bought the hollow jade cauldron. Suddenly, a white light appeared in front of him as it quickly formed into the shape of a cauldron. When the light died down, he could finally see the cauldron in front of him. The cauldron was a black cauldron with slight green outline to it. Except for the simple handles made up of jade, there was almost no other design. It looked like someone stuck an expensive jade piece on a crappy old cauldron. However, Ning understood that the cauldron was made up of metal that was so extremely rare and was one of the reasons why it cost him nearly 6 billion energy to buy. Finally, I can start making pills, he thought, and put the cauldron on the fire pit. The moment the cauldron touched the fire, the heat transferred to all of the cauldron immediately. Within seconds, the cauldron was ready for use. Ning decided to use the first pill that came to his mind. It was a true healing pill that could heal almost any poison and venom that one might get attacked with as long as the poison or venom wasn't graded 7 or higher ranked. The ingredients for the pills were red lotus seed, fate toucan's feathers, black apple's roots, ceremonial ferret's tailbone, pale water lizard's eye, alabaster swan's talons, cursing mushroom, and 3 blades of crimson sun grass. He put in the first ingredient, red lotus seed, and followed the recipe. After a while, he put in the fate toucan's feathers and stirred the contents a little longer. After some more time passed, he put in the black apple's roots and ceremonial ferret's tailbone together and stirred it up a bit too. He followed that soon after by putting in the pale water lizard's eye. Once the contents inside were more or less ready, he put in the alabaster swan's talons, followed by cursing mushrooms soon after. Finally, he put in the 3 blades of the crimson sungrass and started stirring it in the end. Before he knew it, the powder inside was ready and he started condensing it. He felt like there was enough powder inside for him to make multiple pills, and he did. He gathered the powders and formed them into 5 distinct spherical shapes and smashed them together. Once it was all done, 5 pills floated out of the cauldron. Ning felt the aura and smell given off by the pills and smiled. The first ever pill he had tried to make turned out to be a 7th grade pill. He was quite happy about it. While grades didn't affect what the pill did, it impacted the health of the pill eater and the proficiency in doing a task. For example, a grade 1 pill would be bad compared to a grade 8 pill, but it wouldn't be so bad that the grade 8 pill did something 8 times better than the grade 1 pill. In fact, with each grade, the effectiveness of the pill started to lower. After 7th grade, there was no point in increasing the pills any further. However, there was a difference in what the lower grade pills did have that the higher grade pills generally didn't have. That was the existence of harmful byproducts in the pills. A grade 1 pill was a pill that could only hold 10% to 19% of the pill's energy, meaning the rest of it was filled with products that weren't necessarily good for the eater's body. While it wasn't necessarily bad, the byproducts could stay in a person's system for ages and accumulate over time, which would cause a negative impact on the person's life. So, people were always looking forward to pills that had a very high grade, where the byproducts just weren't that many. Ning tried to make a different pill and was just as equally successful. His pills came out looking glorious, and one of them was also an 8th grade pill. However, that seemed to be Ning's maximum ability. He couldn't go past the 8th grade at all. He wondered if it was the result of acquiring bad ingredients during his many years around the world, or if he was just too new to get good at this immediately. Whatever it was, he swore to himself he would improve and decided to try the different pill-making methods in his mind. One of them, in particular, looked really fun, but similarly really hard, so he really wanted to try that. With nothing to lose, Ning prepared his batch of ingredients to try out this method. Once everything was ready, he took all of the ingredients at once and put them inside the cauldron at once. The moment he did that, he knew he needed to give it his all this time. At the end of the 5 hours of the alchemy session, Ning felt like he learned a heck of a lot of things. He checked his storage to see the many pills floating around in the void. Thanks to the time stop in his storage, he wouldn't have to worry about his pills losing potency at all. I just need to find a few ingredients and I will have the ingredients to make pills that will improve you guys as well, Ning said to his beasts who were still recuperating in his beast space. Since they were very strong in their cultivation base now, healing them would cost a lot, so Ning had chosen to let them heal on their own for the most part. But that would take a long time, so he decided to make pills for them. Only he would now need to find ingredients to do so. He opened the door to the room and walked out. He walked over to one of the registrars and handed him the badge for the door. By the way, what should I do if I want to take the grading test? Ning asked. The grading test? You will simply need to pay 50 spirit stones and take a 2-part exam. One part will be where you will answer the questions of 3 grade 1 alchemists, and another part where you will make at least a grade 1 pill, the guy at the register said. Can I skip grades? Ning asked expectantly. He really didn't want to go through the exams one after another. That would just end up being a lot of money down the drain for nothing. You can't skip the grades. Well, you can skip the grades, but you will need one of the 2 highest grade alchemists to vouch for you, the registrar said. I see, so I guess I will have to do it all on my own then. Can you please register me for a grading test then? Ning asked. Sure. What day would you like to take the test at? The registrar asked. Ning thought for a second and asked, is it possible today? It's already 4 p.m., so the next available one is at 6 p.m. If you are willing to wait, I can register you, the registrar said. Yes, please do that, Ning said. The registrar quickly registered him for the evening's grading test. You will be called in an hour, he said. Thank you, Ning said and went over to sit in an empty chair in the guild. He looked towards the wall while he had some free time and read through it. Oh, the prices are all mentioned here, Ning thought and read it all. The more he read, the more he realized just how bad his understanding of spirit stones as a currency in the central continent was. He continued reading and saw just how beneficial it was to become a member of the guild. As long as you were registered in the guild, you could get a lot of discounts. The one that shocked Ning the most was the system of the quests. Sometimes, people would come across a problem in their alchemy that they could not solve or needed a pill they couldn't make themselves. During that moments, those people would come to the guild and hand over a request for the answers. It would usually be along with a sum of spirit stones, and as long as a person took up the quest and did it, they would successfully get half of the reward. The other half was taken by the guild. However, if the person who solved it was a member of the guild, depending on their rank in the guild, they would get a discount. Meaning, the guild would take less from their end and the person would get more. Just what sort of quests are there? Ning wondered and walked up to the board to check. There were many questions being asked as well as asking people to make pills. These are pretty easy, Ning thought. How'd I get these? He wondered. He tried to search for a way to answer these questions, but he didn't find anything. Do I directly write here? He thought, but quickly removed that thought as that could be considered vandalism. After all, there weren't other people with answers written on the board. Excuse me, Ning said as he walked towards the person at the register again. How'd I use those quests? I know the answer to some of them and wanted to solve it, Ning said. Are you a guild member? The man asked him again. There were hundreds of thousands of people coming in and out of the guild, so it was obvious that the man at the register wouldn't remember about his situation. No, Ning said. Then please bring a single quest from the pile, the man at the register said. Ning walked over to the board and looked through the list of the quests. These are all equally easy, but the ones where I have to make a pill or give them an ingredient is time-consuming, Ning thought. So, I have to choose this. He picked up a quest and walked over to the registrar. For this one please, he said. The registrar looked at the questions and asked, what's the answer? The reason that your Aben brass rabbit's legs do not work in the violent concealment pill is that the rabbit's legs have energy in it that is quite tame in nature. You will need to put it in a saltwater solution overnight, and the energy inside the legs is very chaotic and will show violent tendencies, just like the name of the pill suggests, Ning said. I see, the registrar said. Is that all? Yes, Ning answered. Very well. I will take the answer and hand it over to the client in the morning tomorrow. Please come back anytime you want to check if the client has accepted or rejected the answer, the registrar said. Until tomorrow. Ning was a little surprised. What about other quests? A non-member can only do one of the quests at the same time, the registrar said. Sigh, I guess being a member is quite important to me now. As Ning waited for 6 p.m. to arrive, a few more newer alchemists came and sat next to him in the waiting area, as they were also going to take part in the upcoming grading test. Ning felt a little embarrassed when he saw that the people taking grading tests were actually mostly little kinds who weren't even 15. The kids would turn to look at him curiously, wondering if he was there to take a test as well. Finally, it was 6 p.m., and the people taking the test started getting called in. Ning walked in to see a small room with a bunch of open furnaces on the ground. Soon, a lady walked in and handed a pouch of ingredients as well as a recipe. They all had to now make a pill that was at least 10% or grade 1 in quality. Ning quickly opened up the bag to see the ingredients and found out that they were all simple ingredients that everyone would know about. He quickly took out his weird-looking cauldron and started making his pills. The recipe was quite simple and he wasted no time with the pills. Within a few minutes of starting the pill, he was done with it and handed the pill to the lady. The lady had a weird apparatus to test the pill's grade. She quickly checked it and found out that his half-assed attempts at making the pills had resulted in grade 5 pills. Soon, everyone was done with making their pills and it was time for the practical test. This time, the people would go into the test room one by one and answer the questions of 3 grade 1 examiners. It was finally Ning's turn to enter. When he went in, the testers were a little surprised but quickly started asking questions. The questions were so easy that Ning could answer it even if he didn't have any knowledge from the system. He freely answered the questions and walked out proud. Without question, he had passed the first grade, and was now officially an alchemist. He was then handed a badge that he could wear or simply carry around to show his identity as an alchemist. Ning looked at the badge and saw a few things written. So, it's like an official identity card for me, except instead of me being a citizen, it says I'm an alchemist, Ning thought. He walked over to the registrar and started to ask him some more questions. Now that I'm a grade 1 alchemist, can I join the guild? Ning asked. Yes. You can take a test anytime starting tomorrow, the registrar said. Thank you. Finally Ning returned back to the academy and went straight to his sleeping quarters. He decided to go for the guild member registration a few days later once his grade was high. So, he could do nothing but wait for now. Tomorrow morning, he got up from his bed and went back to his classes once again. He needed to choose what he had to do for his classes today, so he decided to go with normal questions and answers segment since he would have new students and he didn't want to immediately start boring lectures. Once he set the topic for the day, he went to his class. He stayed there for a few minutes, hoping he would get some students. For the first few minutes, only 2 or 3 students came, leading him to be a little disappointed. However, right before the class was to start, the students started appearing in droves. Ning started counting them walk in, and by the time they stopped coming in, he was happily surprised. 600 students, he thought with a smile. While he wanted more, realistically, he was expecting way less. So, 600 was more than enough students for him. Thank you all for coming to my classes. For today, I will be answering any questions you guys might have. If you do, please raise your hands, Ning said. Almost all the students in the class raised hand. Ning smiled and said, all right, I will get to all of you one by one. If any of the other students end up asking the questions you were going to ask, please put your hands down. With that, he asked the first student what his question was. The students asked questions without hesitation, and Ning answered them all without having to think for even a while at all. The students were surprised how well-versed Ning was in every topic. Each question he got, it was as if he was a teacher that specified in that portion of alchemy and knew it better than most people. However, given how many different questions there were, that was impossible. What is the use of the melon groove vine in the spirit hallucination pill, Teacher Ning? I have tried to understand the content of the pill and from what I can gather, the remaining ingredients in that pill can bring forth the same effect. Yet, every single recipe I have tried to find tells me to put it in, a student asked. Oh, that's because the melon groove vine has a special liquid inside it that contains trace amounts of yin energy. You need that yin energy to bring out the darkness within the pill. Spirit hallucination pill can also be made without the vine, but if you do that, the person will simply hallucinate something random. However, if you put in the vine, the person is guaranteed to hallucinate a nightmare, and that is the purpose of the pill, Ning explained. The student was satisfied with the answer and sat down. Reya was on the front seat, constantly scribbling down stuff onto her notepad to remember it. Nilo was at the end of the room looking at Ning with awe at how good his teaching skills were. Needless to say, the rest of the students were also very impressed with the class today. So, overall, the first proper class of Ning was a total success. Ning walked back towards the staff room with a smile on his face. He was really happy at how successful his class had gone. If it goes on like this, or even drops to half, I should be able to get a silver badge by the end of the first month, he thought excitedly. He entered the staff room and saw that it was generally empty. Most of the teachers did not want to spend their time in the staff room and would rather spend it down underground making pills. While other teachers were in their class teaching their lectures, Ning didn't know what to do in the staff room either, as there was nothing here for him to look at. Still, it had become a regular thing for him to come here after the classes ended. I should go down to the guild again. If I remember correctly, there is a grading exam at 2 p.m. I should be able to become a guild member by the end of the week, Ning thought. He then started wondering what he should teach tomorrow, but then remembered that it was the end of the week and there were no classes tomorrow. I guess I can relax for today and tomorrow, he thought. Is that why the room is so empty today? He decided to leave for now and go register for the grade 2 test. As he was walking away, a man entered the room. Ning looked at the man and saw a dark-skinned man with thick skin and a large beard. His hair was shoulder-length long and was left freely. Other than that, the things that caught Ning's eyes were the black robe and the silver badge. Ning closely looked at the badge and saw a small claw mark on it. A beastmaster, huh? He thought. Hello. Ning greeted the man and stepped a little to the side to walk out. However, just as he was walking out, the man stuck his hands out to block his chest. Huh? Ning was confused. He turned towards the man to see him glaring at him. Do you need something? Ning asked. Why are you inside the staff room? The man asked. Because I'm a teacher. Ning said. A student dare lies to me? These grass-eating bastards must have finally gone crazy to let their students do whatever they want, the man said. Get off me, bastard. I'm not a student, I'm a teacher, Ning said as he brushed aside his hands and showed his ID card. The man was surprised for a second when he saw that Ning indeed was a teacher and was about to apologize. However, the moment he saw the name on the card, he stopped. Ning. It's you. You are the one that stole away one of my best students, the man said out loud. What? Ning was confused. My student just came to me today saying that he will likely not join the Beastmasters again and would focus on alchemy. It's all because of you, you damn bastard, the teacher screamed and grabbed Ning's robes. I don't even know what student you are talking about. Get away from me, Ning shouted and pushed the man back. If the man wasn't a teacher, he would punch him in the face by now. Send me my student back, or I will kill you today, the man shouted. What student? Why would I be teaching a Beastmaster in my class, for God's sake? I'm an alchemy teacher, not a Beastmaster teacher. Look at my damn red robes, Ning shouted. I know, goddammit. My student is an alchemist too, and he said that you had accepted to help him in curing his sleep disorder, the teacher shouted. What? Is your student, Nilo? Ning asked confusedly. Yes. You finally accept it, don't you? You stole my student away, the teacher shouted. Ning started to get pissed off. It's just one bloody student, and he chose to learn with me. I didn't steal anyone. They are students, not properties. I entice them with knowledge and then give it to them. If you want him back, go talk with him, Ning shouted back at the teacher. What's so important about Nilo that you had to come all the way here to get him back from me? Ning asked. You don't need to know, the teacher said, making Ning even more curious. I will remember you, Teacher Ning. Don't think that you will have a smooth time now that you have made an enemy out of me, the teacher said and walked away. Ning stood there dumbfounded. What the hell even happened just now? He wondered. One moment he was happily on his way to get registered for the test, and the next thing he knew, he was in an argument with that teacher. What was his name again? Ning thought, and then soon realized he never gave any. Coward, Ning said out loud and went to the guild at the foot of the mountain. He registered himself for the 2 p.m. grading exam and waited as his mood finally returned back to normal from the shitty one he had been in ever since the fight. He was once again taken to a room full of pill furnaces to make a special pill that they gave. Ning absent-mindedly put the ingredients into his cauldron and started converting them into 3 to 4 pills. The examiners were surprised when they saw this, but mostly presumed it was because he was a talented person taking the beginner's exam. Ning was then taken to the room where 3 grade 2 alchemists were sitting around, asking for questions. Ning calmly answered everything and he was sent back out. Finally, after waiting for a few minutes, the results came out. As expected, he had successfully passed the grading test and was now a grade 2 alchemist. He was about to leave the guild when he remembered something and walked over to the registrar. Hello, is my payment from my quest ready? Ning took back his earnings from the quest he had successfully done and left the registrar a new one. With his grade 2 badge in hand, he left back to this room. Over the course of the next few days, he slowly improved his alchemist grade. After reaching the 5th grade he had to stop since the higher grades were only tested once a month. The price of it had also increased, but Ning didn't worry about that. Since he had also joined with the guild after taking a test after reaching grade 5, his costs in the guild would now be reduced by quite a bit. Similarly, his classes were also going quite well. As he had expected, his students had dropped by quite a few over the course of the week. However, there were still about 400 to 450 students on average during each class of his. He was a little disappointed that he wouldn't get a gold badge immediately, but he was still happy about the silver badge. Ning had just finished his classes where he taught exclusively about a single ingredient. His class had about 435 students today, so it was better than most days. He dismissed the class and walked out. "Teacher Ning, wait," Nilo said and ran behind him. "Yes, what is it?" Ning asked. "Can you check this?" Nilo asked and handed him a talisman. Ning quickly read the talisman and made a curious face. "Can you tell me why you decided to add the fire ginger's nectar?" Ning asked. It has a yang component that can greatly boost my mental capacity and drive away any tiredness my body might have," Nilo said in a tone that almost made it a question. "And how long will it drive away said tiredness?" Ning asked. I don't know. Is it not forever?" Nilo asked. "No, this will work for 3 days at most. After that, the fatigue will catch up and you will have to sleep again," Ning said. "You are trying to get rid of the fatigue that has already built up when instead you should be stopping the fatigue from ever building up. Find something that will stop you from getting tired, instead of finding something to cure your tiredness. Get it?" Ning asked. "Oh, that makes so much sense. Thank you, Teacher Ning," Nilo said and walked away. With just that bit of help, Nilo had enough confidence to do the whole thing by himself. Ning smiled and walked back to the staff room. As he entered, he saw a bunch of teachers making a group as they looked at something. Ning slowly walked forward and a teacher noticed him coming towards them. "He's here. Teacher Ning is here," someone shouted. Ning was a little surprised. What's going on?" he asked as he looked at the faces of all the teachers who were wasting their time here instead of going to their classes. Teacher Ning, did you offend someone recently?" someone asked. "Huh? No. I have. Oh wait, there was this one guy from Beastmaster Wing that came asking me to return one of his students. I told him the student wasn't mine to give back, but he seemed pretty upset about it," he said. "Did he have dark skin?" someone asked. "Yeah, he had surprisingly dark skin. That complexion is quite rare in this place," Ning said. "In just a week of entering the sect, you managed to pick a fight with Teacher Gonez, Teacher Ning?" someone asked. Ning was a little confused. "Pick a fight? What do you guys mean?" he asked. The teacher who held the talisman that everyone was reading, handed Ning the talisman. "Under the authority of my name as the head of this school, I hereby approve of the fight between Teacher Gonez and Teacher Ning. The fight will remain to non-physical combats. Please be mindful of what you say. Signed, the principal." The principal approved of 2 teachers fighting and even tells them how to fight. Is he a nut job? Ning thought. Can any one of you please explain to me what all of this means?" Ning asked. One of the teachers came forward and started explaining it all. Due to the nature of how the school was run, there was bound to be discontent between 2 or more teachers. A full-blown fight between 2 teachers would be detrimental to the students, so the academy had decided to hold a non-combat match between 2 teachers to determine the winner. Before the fight, both of the teachers would gamble something of theirs that the other party would be fine while taking. Most of the time, the bet objects weren't agreed upon, so the 2 teachers would bet until they were bet the one thing they had been looking forward to. In Ning's case, the bet object was most likely going to be Nilo, but Ning wasn't sure how that was going to work since Nilo was not his to bet away. He also didn't know what this teacher Gonez had with him that he would want to get. More than anything, he wasn't sure what sort of non-combat competition would he fight in. According to the rules, it was decided by the participants. However, Ning and Gonez were both teachers from 2 separate professions, so Ning had a hard time realizing what competition he would even have to take part in, or would choose. "So, I am compelled to fight? Is there no denying?" Ning asked curiously. "No, this one costs a teacher a hefty amount of spirit stones, so it's very unlikely the academy would let you go after Teacher Gonez already paid to fight you. You just have to prepare yourself," Teacher Ning, the teacher who explained everything, said. Afterward, everyone left the staff room and went to their own classes, leaving Ning and a few other teachers to the classroom. Ning looked at the talisman once again. So, I will have to fight with him in some sort of competition in 7 days, huh? He thought. Hello. I'm back for my quests. Have they been verified? Ning asked as he walked up to one of the registrar. Ah, Mr. Ning. Yes, both of your quests have been verified. Let me look up your stuff. You can choose 2 of the new quests if you want to, the registrar said. Thank you, Ning said and walked up to the board and looked for easy quests to do. Thanks to his intermediate alchemist rank, he could now do 2 quests at once instead of just the single one. The number slowly increased until 5 as he went up the rank too. There were 6 ranks in the alchemy guild. They were novice alchemist, beginner alchemist, intermediate alchemist, advanced alchemist, master alchemist, and grandmaster alchemist. The way you could rank up was by buying ingredients from the guild, selling pills and ingredients to the guild, and complete quests that were hung up on the board. Each of these things had a certain point assigned to them, and as long as you did them, you would gain that point. Ning had spent the last 2 weeks making pills and buying ingredients for his beasts. He had gotten quite good at the whole alchemy thing and was still very certain that he could get better. After gaining a lot of points, he had managed to reach the intermediate alchemist rank where he could start taking 2 quests at once. Also, he was starting to get 50% discounts on everything, so that was quite a surprise for him. I don't see that many quests that I can just answer outright to solve, Ning thought as he looked at the list. Suddenly, from the back of his body, he saw a person quickly turn around as soon as they saw him. That brought Ning's attention towards the person, so he turned around to get a clearer look. Oh, hey Ender. Where are you going? Ning asked. The person who was trying to quietly hide away from Ning's sight was Ender. Ender awkwardly turned around and looked at Ning. Hello, Teacher Ning, he said. Hey, you don't have to call me teacher. Haha. What's up? How's your study going? Ning asked. It's fine. I'm doing quite good, Ender said with an awkward smile. Oh, good. By the way, how come I didn't see you in my class even once? I thought you would be the first one to join me, Ning asked. Ender really tried to not answer anything, but couldn't in the end and gave up. Sigh, it's because my sister told me not to, Ender said. Your sister told you not to come to my class? Ning asked. Why? She says that you are a fraud and a liar, Ender said. I am not a liar though. I don't remember lying about anything exactly, Ning said as he thought back to their conversations. What about you not knowing about alchemy? Ender asked. Oh, that was just me not knowing how good my knowledge was. Only now do I know it's quite good, Ning said. Ender was also quite sure that Ning wasn't lying at all, but his sister was never wrong about someone, so he would rather believe his sister than his own guts. Sigh, alright. You do what you feel like doing. I won't blame you for not showing up, Ning said. Why are you here by the way? Oh, to make some pills, Ender said. Alright, have fun, Ning said his goodbyes and went back to the board to choose his 2 quests. He quickly found 2 that he could answer right here and brought them to the registrar. He first got 250 spirit stones for his 2 quests, and then answered the questions on the 2 new quests. Once that was done, he left. He looked around at the many guilds and wondered if he should become part in them too, but those could wait until he learned about them. After all, he was just 2 days away from getting his silver badge. A month goes away so quickly, huh? He thought and walked up the stairs. Starting from the day after tomorrow, he could fly up and down the mountain like the many different teachers. Still, getting 500 students is quite hard. Not even another lecture helped, and the students keep dropping. What should I do? Ning wondered. He had gotten a burst of 700 new students after his second lecture, which was on grim leaves that one could find just about anywhere. The students stayed behind for a day or 2, but it quickly dropped to 300 again. I should be just a few students away from reaching 500, right? He thought. Just what am I doing wrong? Is my teaching method not very good? Many doubts appeared in Ning's mind, but they were soon gone when he realized what tomorrow was. Sigh, that barbarian still isn't stopping his fight. What does he want me to do? Why is Nilo so important to him? Ning wondered. He had tried asking Nilo himself, but never got a straight answer. He would either make up stuff like, the teacher really likes me, or, I'm just that good with beasts I guess, never giving an answer that Ning was okay with. Fine, whatever. I will just beat that damn barbarian at whatever game he wants to play with me and be done with it, Ning thought angrily and walked back to his room. He spent the entire night preparing for the fight tomorrow in any way he could. It took him some time since the system wasn't there to aid him automatically, and he had to do everything by himself. Finally, once he thought he was ready, he started cultivating. Early in the morning, he woke up and went to his class. Today, he had less than 300 students in his class. He really was doing something wrong. He quickly finished the class and walked out. However, instead of going to the staff room, he went to the back of the academy and down the mountain where the duel between the two of them was going to take place. Ning could hear the students excitedly speak about the upcoming match. They talked in delight about watching the two teachers compete against each other, not knowing that one of the competitors was right beside them. He sighed as he looked in front of him. Right below the mountain was an open ground, followed by a massive building that housed all of the students in the academy. Right next to them were other buildings that belonged to the academy. They either housed the normal staff or were a place where the beasts were kept. Beyond that was a massive forest that didn't stop until the desert on the other side. Ning could see a rather large group of people making a crowd down below. Damn, do these students have nothing else to do? He wondered. He reached the foot of the mountain and made his way to the crowd. He walked past the crowd and entered the center of the crowd. In the center were two people. One of them was the dark-skinned man that had challenged Ning to this competition. He looked ready for this match and was waiting for Ning. The other person was a middle-aged female wearing a white robe. She too had been waiting for Ning, but for different reasons altogether. The white-robed people were staff of the main academy. They didn't belong to any of the 5 professions and their main task was to make sure the academy ran smoothly. For now, she was certainly going to work as the referee in this competition. "You have finally come, Grass-Eater," the dark-skinned man shouted out. "Teacher Gomez, you know we can't let you go on with such racist remarks," the white-robed woman immediately said when she heard him call Ning a grass-eater. "Ah, sorry, Miss Maeve. You know I'm just too used to it," Gomez said. "I shall allow this one time. If I hear you say that again, you will be fined," the lady said. Ning walked up to them and waited for them to continue. "Teacher Ning, my name is Maeve, and I will be holding your duel with Teacher Gomez. Is that okay with you?" she asked. "Yes, Miss Maeve," Ning said. "Great. Let's start with the thing you two will be betting on this duel," Maeve asked. "What do you want from me?" Ning asked. "I want my student back," Gomez said before a single moment could pass. "Sigh. You hear this, Miss Maeve? I've told him that the student came to me out of his own volition, and still, this guy asks me to hand back the student. What am I supposed to do?" Ning said. That certainly is troubling. If you don't own something, you can't really bet it," Maeve said. "Do you have anything else you want from Teacher Ning? This student you ask for is not something he can bet." Gomez tried to argue that Ning had indeed stolen his student away, but couldn't prove it at all since it wasn't true. "If he can't do that, then I want him to stop talking with that student," Gomez said. Ning frowned. "That student came to me because he needed help. Are you saying you want to deprive a student of opportunity just because you don't want him to learn alchemy?" Ning asked. Maeve's eyes turned cold when she heard this and looked towards Gomez, waiting for his answers. Gomez could feel the freezing cold coming from Maeve's eyes, so he had to choose his next few words carefully. "No, I won't deny the student of any opportunity," he said. "But you are stopping him from entering my class?" Ning asked. "Yes, just your class. If I win, I want you to stop interacting with this student altogether," Gomez said. "If he ever needs help, there are dozens of other teachers he can get help from. I just don't want that person to be you." Ning was a little stupefied because of how far Gomez was going just to get Nilo back. Just what is his background to make a teacher this stupid? Ning wondered. Maeve thought about what Gomez had said and nodded. "Those are acceptable bets. Teacher Ning, do you accept?" she asked. "Yes," Ning said without hesitation. "Good, what about Teacher Gomez's bet? What do you want from him?" Maeve asked. Ning thought for a bit to think of what he could want from the man, but nothing came to his mind. In the end, there was really just one thing he could get. "I want the same thing as him. I want him to stop seeing the student after this if I win," Ning said. "Those terms are acceptable," Maeve said. "Now, please choose the form of competition for the two of you to duel in." "You are lucky we don't have physical combat, or I would have beat you near to death in the upcoming duel," Gomez said. Ning tried to think of a non-combat competition that he could fight against Gomez right now. Maeve looked at the two of them not speaking for a while and spoke. "Do you guys need help with the ideas?" she asked. She had refereed many such fights between two teachers, and so she knew quite a few ideas for them. Since they were both from different professions, so it was hard to create a competition that was a middle ground for both of the people. A beast master had an inherent advantage regarding beasts, while an alchemist had an inherent advantage regarding plants and corpses. Maeve needed to make sure that they both knew when the other one had a little too much knowledge on a subject when compared to them. They were contemplating on what competition to hold when suddenly Ning decided to speak. "I don't think it really matters what sort of non-combat competition you choose," he said. Gomez and Maeve looked at him with a little surprise in their eyes. "What do you mean, Teacher Ning?" Maeve asked. "What I mean is, I will let him choose whatever he wants and I will go along with it, with zero complaints." "You want me to choose?" Gomez asked. He started getting a little suspicious about it all. Why would a person who didn't plan on losing actively get a disadvantage? "Yeah, just choose. I will take part in whatever little competition you want me to," Ning said and waited. Gomez was still suspicious, but he decided to take up on the offer since he saw nothing but stupidity in Ning's decision. "Very well then. Miss Maeve, I would like the competition to be regarding beasts. Whoever can give the most information about beasts wins," Gomez said. Maeve was a little surprised that Ning let Gomez choose such a thing. Still, she asked him one more time, "Are you okay with that, Teacher Ning?" "Yes, please proceed with it," Ning said with a smile. Outside in the crowd, the students and teachers got a little confused. "Isn't that an alchemy teacher? I don't see any badges on him. Is he really going to take part in such a skewed competition?" somebody asked. "Just look at their chests. Teacher Gomez has a silver star, while this teacher doesn't have anything. He must have been worried about losing really badly, so he decided to lose in the best way he could, in a match where the other person had the advantage," a student said. "I think so too. That way, he won't be humiliated when he loses. Honestly, I might have done the same in that situation." "That's a great idea for any future matchups," another disciple said. "Damn it. Why is Teacher Gomez trying to take the only teacher that can help me away from me? I don't even care about beast mastery so much," Nilo said from the side. "Isn't it because of your heritage? He must have learned about it somehow," his friends said. "What? I've been trying to keep it hidden. I even denied it when Teacher Ning asked me," Nilo said. "Well, it's hard when you talk to your father so much," his friends said. Reya was also watching the competition with some worry in her mind. There were other teachers who were also looking at it, wondering why Ning was doing what he was doing. "Look at him show off. Trying to act like he's a small fish," a voice spoke from amongst the elders. "What do you mean, Teacher Riggett?" someone asked. The green-robed lady shook her head and said, "Nothing, I'm just talking to myself." "Silence!" Maeve shouted, quieting the audience with a single word. "Teacher Ning and Teacher Gomez have decided to have a knowledge battle regarding beasts. I will now bring out 3 different beasts, one by one, and you will have to give as much information about the beast as you can one after another. Whoever stops from giving any valuable information loses," Maeve said. She then flew to the area where the beasts were kept and brought back a small beast in a cage with her. Ning and Gomez both looked at the beast and were a little surprised. "This is a purple-horned rabbit. I assume you know about it. Please start giving me one factoid about it that I wouldn't know from just looking at it." "Who would like to go first?" Maeve asked. "I will," Gomez said. Ning nodded towards Maeve to let her know he could go second. "Very well. Please start, Teacher Gomez." "Yes. The purple-horned rabbit's tail is actually a meter long," Gomez said. Maeve wasn't going to check it herself. Instead, she had a little book in front of her that she was reading. "Correct. Teacher Ning," she asked. "The horn of the rabbit can be used in alchemy to make poison," Ning said. Maeve was a little surprised that he was going to the alchemy route, but that was to be expected. She nodded and looked towards Gomez. "Their claws are so strong that they can cut through steel," Gomez said. "You can use their eyes to make pills that can improve your vision," Ning said, going for the alchemy route again. "These rabbits can jump up to 30 meters high, due to their strong hind legs," Gomez said. "You can make a very potent spirit wine using the rabbit's thick fat around this lower body," Ning said. "Hey, you aren't even talking about the rabbit anymore. You can make those wines with any beast fat," Gomez complained. Maeve thought for a bit. "That is true, Teacher Ning. Can you stick towards beast description?" she asked. Ning just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Very well. A newly born purple-horned rabbit had furs that are strong enough to block a direct attack from a level 3 body cultivator. Maeve quite turned book and saw that the information was correct. She nodded and looked at Gonez. An adult purple-horned rabbit's horn is strong enough to pierce through low-grade defensive spirit artifacts without using any of their cultivation bases, Gonez said. A female purple-horned rabbit can give birth to nearly 15 kits at once, Ning said. An adult purple-horned rabbit can get as big as 3 meters tall if they are let to grow in the wild, Gonez said. A purple-horned rabbit's teeth are strong enough to chew through the bones of a level 18 body cultivator, Ning said. They both gave facts about the purple-horned rabbit for nearly 15 minutes before slowing down considerably. The rabbits can smell blood from 3 kilometers away, Gonez said, barely remembering the fact in time. Please be faster, Teacher Gonez, or it will be counted as your loss, Maeve said. Purple-horned rabbits can evolve to dual-horned immortal rabbits, Ning said. Maeve quickly checked the book to see if that was true or not, but couldn't find any such information. Teacher Ning, that information seems to be wrong, she said. No, it's not. Someone spoke from the crowd. Maeve looked towards the side with a frown on her face, but it immediately turned to a smile when she saw the person. A golden-starred, black-robed teacher walked forth and handed Maeve a book. She quickly read the book and was surprised. The information on the book was obscure that anyone could have missed it. Thank you, Teacher Kang, for lending me this book, she said to the newly arrived old man. It's nothing. I'm just trying to keep the competition fair, he said with a smile and turned towards Ning for a moment before leaving back towards the audience. Sorry about that, Teacher Ning. I have indeed confirmed that what you said was a fact, Maeve said. Your turn, Teacher Gonez. Gonez tried to think of more facts, but he had run through all of them. Why does an alchemist know so much about beasts? He couldn't help but curse at Ning. Why is the damn old man helping him too? He thought. Teacher Gonez, please hurry up, Maeve said from the side. He tried to think of something, but everything he knew was already said by both him and Ning. Their blood is a little darker shade of red, Gonez said. Please give a better fact, Maeve asked and waited, but Gonez couldn't come up with anything. Time is up. The first round goes to Teacher Ning, Maeve said. Please wait while I bring the next beast.